Every week, there is a new feature, a new model, a new subscription tier. OpenAI retire models faster than you can remember their names. Anthropic ships a feature called Dispatch that lets you control your computer from your phone. Google names its image generation model Nano Banana Pro, and no, I'm not making that up. If you're a professional trying to find out which AI model is better for you in March 2026, you probably are more confused than ever. Here is what I'm going to do in next few minutes. I'm going to take three major AI platforms, ChatGPT, Claude, and Google Gemini, and I'm going to compare them head to head at a similar price point, which is $20. And then I'm going to show you the raw benchmarks under the hood and provide you a framework that suits better for you. By the end of this video, you should know which subscription you need to buy, whether it is one, two, or all three, depending on who you are and what requirements you have. No fanboy wars, no sponsored takes, just an honest breakdown. So let us decode this. OpenAI made a big move on March 5th of this year. They launched GPT 5.4, and this is not just a version number. GPT 5.4 merges what used to be two separate things, the general reasoning model and a coding specialist model known as Codex. So now 5.4 is one unified model that can reason, write, code, and actually even control your computer. To put that in perspective, even earlier GPT models could write the code for you. But GPT 5.4 can even write the code, run it, and interact with your computer to complete the tasks. That is a meaningful shift. What also happened, OpenAI retired many old top models. GPT 4o, GPT 4.1, GPT 5 Instant, GPT 5 Thinking, all gone from ChatGPT. Even GPT 5.2 thinking will have its sunset on June 5th. If you have workflow built on older models, that would impact you. So the pricing structure has now got 6 tiers. Free version gives you limited GPT 5.4 with ads rolling out to US users. There is a Go model which is available in India at rupees 399 and $8 abroad, which gives you more capacity but still has ads. Plus, at $20 is what everyone wants. You get GPT 5.4 thinking mode, expanded messaging, DAL-E for images, deep research, the Codex agent, custom GPTs, and projects with memory. Pro at $200 is for those people who live on ChatGPT every day. For businesses, there is a $25 per seat business plan and a custom enterprise plan. The key thing about Plus at $20 is that you are getting a genuinely unified model that does both reasoning and coding, plus creative tools like image and video generations. That is the ChatGPT pitch. Anthropic has been making some of the most interesting moves in the AI space. And I say, as someone trying to be neutral, trying hard to be neutral. Their flagship model is known as Claude Opus 4.6, launched on February 5th. It has a 1 million context video on higher plan, agent teams capability, and adaptive thinking. On the Pro plan, you get Opus Plus Sonnet 4.6 and Haiku 4.5. But the models are not the story here. The story is what Anthropic is doing with the product layer. In January this year, they launched Cowork. This is not just a chatbot. Cowork runs as a persistent session on your desktop. It can access your local file, your connected application, and even your browser. You can start a task, close your laptop, come back, and see the task getting done. Think of it less as an AI chatbot, but more as an AI worker sitting on your desk. They have launched something called Dispatch. This lets you control your co-work session with your phone. You can scan a QR code, pair your phone with the desktop, and now you can send instructions from anywhere. You are at lunch, you message Claude from your phone. Summarize 3 PDFs kept on my desktop and then draft a proposal email to a client. You come back, the work is done. All processing happens in a locally sandbox environment. Your files never leave your machine. Is it perfect? No. The Mac Stories reviews from the same week has said that it works only half the time and is very slow. It is a research preview, but the direction is clear. Anthropic is turning Claude from a chatbot to a remote cowork. Claude Code, which is a coding agent, is now also available on a Pro plan and has got even higher limits at a Max plan. Their Model Context Protocol, which is their open standard, now connects Claude to the tools like Google Drive, Slack, Gmail, Notion, and even GitHub. As far as pricing is concerned, there is a free plan, but it is rate limited. And the Pro plan at $20 give you access to models like Opus, Sonat, Haiku, Claude Code, Cowork, Research, Memory, Excel, Chrome, and a lot of other integrations. A Max plan at $100 or $200 gives you all the feature but with very enhanced rate limits. The rate limits could be 5 to 20 times of the Pro plan. Google has rebranded everything in 2025. What used to be a Google AI Premium is now Google AI Pro. And they have also added a top tier subscription known as Google AI Ultra. The model powering all of this is Gemini 3.1 Pro, which is their flagship model. The context window is about 1 million tokens, which is about 1500 pages or 30,000 lines of code. This is the largest context window at this price point. But here's the thing about Google that makes it really different from Claude and ChatGPT. It is not just an AI model, but an entire ecosystem. When you pay $20 for a Google AI Pro, this is what you get. First, you get a 2 TB of cloud storage space across Google Drive, Gmail, and Photos. This storage is alone worth somewhere around $10 a month if you buy it separately. Or in India, it will come at around rupees 650 or so per month. So roughly the cost of AI is not $20, but probably around $10 or around 1500 rupees in Indian context. This is entirely a different value proposition. You get Gemini integrated in Gmail, Docs, Sheets, Slides, and even in Google Meet. And this is not a separate app that you switch to. It is AI inside the tool you already use. One of the things that you get with this subscription is Notebook LM. And this is genuinely one of the most underrated AI tools. It lets you upload documents and them into study guides, audio overviews, slide decks, and even infographics. On Pro, you get 500 notebooks with 300 sources each and 500 chat queries per day, which is more than what is required. You also get access to Nano Banana Pro, which is Google's state of art image generation model. It uses Gemini 3 Pro under the hood and does something very clever. It queries Google search for real world knowledge before it generates any image. So, if you ask it to generate an image of a certain building, it actually knows what that building looks like. Every image gets an invisible synth ID watermark for provenance. You get Google Code Assist and Gemini CLI for IDE based coding. You also get Anti Gravity, which is their agent first coding ecosystem. It is essentially a Visual Studio Code fork, and Gemini 3 is powering the intelligence layer over it. And you also get deep research for multi step research and evaluations. Google AI Ultra at $250 will add 30 TB of cloud storage. It would have the highest limit on everything. Beat Nano Banana Pro, Veo 3.1 for cinematic video processing, YouTube Premiere, and Project Mariner. Mariner is a browser-based agent which is only available in US as of now. The Google's pitch at $20 is pretty clear. If you are already in a Google ecosystem, no other model can give you as higher value for money as the Google's AI Premium would do. Before we compare, let us talk about raw intelligence. Because if you're spending $20 a month, you deserve to know what is happening under the hood. All the models are tested under specific benchmarks. So these benchmarks are like entrance examination for artificial intelligence. Each benchmark tests a different dimension of capability. Let me walk you through the one that matters and let me show you how each model stands on these. The first one is also known as Massive Multitask Language Understanding. It actually measures across 16,000 multiple choice questions across 57 subjects. These subjects could be maths, philosophy, law, medicine, and even history. Think of it as a comprehensive undergraduate examination. The problem with this examination is that now all the frontier models scores more than 90%, and the gaps are very small. That is why researchers created something called as MMLU Pro. It is the same concept, but now it has 10 multiple choices instead of 4 and even harder reasoning requirements. Now that is a better discriminators against all the top models in 2026. The next one is called GPQA Diamond, which is all about graduate level science questions. There are 198 questions in physics, chemistry, and biology, which is written by PhD experts. The critical detail, these experts also score only 60 to 70% on these questions. Even the non-experts with complete internet access would score somewhere around 34 to 35%. When a model scores above 85% on GPQA Diamond, it is demonstrating reasoning that exceeds most human experts. This is the benchmark that separates the intelligent models from the good ones. The third one is called Human Eval. This contains 164 handwritten programming problems, and the model must generate Python function that passes the unit tests. Important caveat, this benchmark is now approaching saturation. Top models already score more than 90%. So it has now become more of like a floor check than a ceiling test. The more meaningful coding benchmark is the fourth one that we are going to discuss, known as SWE bench. This is basically real world software engineering. In this, the model is subjected to 500 GitHub issues from production Python repositories. The model must understand the code base, identify a bug, write a fix, and pass the project's test suite. This is not writing the code from scratch. It is debugging and maintaining the real software. This is the gold standard for evaluating coding capability in 2026. The fifth one is known as AIME 2025. The full form is American Invitational Mathematics Examination. In this, we have competition level math problems that require deeper reasoning, creative problem solving, and also mathematical intuition. These are the problem designed for top high school mathematician in US. A score above 90% would indicate that the model can outperform the most intelligent high school students. Then there is another benchmark known as MMMU. The full form is Massive Multidiscipline Multimodal Understanding. In this, there are college level problems across 30 subjects that requires both image level understanding and even expert knowledge. You might show the model a circuit diagram, a chemical equation, or even an architectural building and ask them to solve a particular problem. This actually tests whether the model can see and reason across visual information together. So the last one that we are going to talk about is known as simple QA, and this is really important because this tests the factual information as well as hallucination for all the models. In this, the model is subjected to straightforward factual questions and it measures whether a model is making things up or not. A lower score means the model will hallucinate more. This is the real benchmark that can tell you whether you can trust the model or not. This is how your three models at 20 tier perform across these benchmarks. The scores and official model cards as dated on March 2026. Now, if we look at the first parameter on MMLU, it is almost that all models are tied. And this is what we were saying, that most of the models scores above 90% for this particular benchmark. So when it comes to MMLU Pro, we have a clear winner, which is Gemini, which beats both OpenAI and Anthropic in the deeper reasoning requirement. The GPQA Diamond, which is all about who is the better PhD experts among all these three, we have a clear winner, which is Gemini with 94.2%. The scores for GPQA Diamond is basically completely skewed towards Gemini, which means that maybe this is the better PhD expert as compared to both Claude and OpenAI. Again, the human eval, which is the Python programming, I think they're almost all tied with Claude leading with a very small margin versus both Gemini and ChatGPT. Then on SWE bench, which is the real score for the software engineering benchmark, almost all models are at parity, with GPT 5.4 claiming marginally higher scores than above the other two. Now, when it comes to AMI 2025, you can see ChatGPT is a clear winner here. So that means that for competitive high school level maths problem, maybe ChatGPT is a better choice. Even for MMMU, ChatGPT outperforms both Claude and Gemini, which means it would be a better choice for even college level problems. Now, lastly, when it comes to hallucination, the simple QA scores for ChatGPT 5.4 is the highest amongst all three, which means this is more reliable and probably we can trust them better as compared to other two. But the margin is so less, and I think the scores are too low for us to blindly trust any of these three models. So as you can see, no single model wins on every benchmark. GPT 5.4 will lead on maths and multimodal reasoning. Claude wins on coding and probably scientific reasoning. Gemini Pro will be better for a PhD level sort of a research work. And on SWE bench, almost all the models have tied, but still the developers prefer Claude Code because it is it has gone beyond just the model and have integrated with a lot of MCPs, connectors, and has got a better context. And when it comes to simple QA score, which is the hallucination measurement, I don't think we can trust any of these models because the scores for all these models are pretty low. The simple QA scores deserve special attention, and you can see no model scores above 57%. And this is basically on straightforward factual questions, which means these models will confidently answer all your queries, but it will be wrong more than 43% of the time. This is not a weakness of one model, it is basically the way the technology is in 2026. And that is why you have to verify all the critical facts before you actually use any AI model. Now that you know both the raw feature and the intelligence number, let us put them all side by side and compare it for our use case. The first one is core intelligence. You saw the benchmarks. All three are frontier class models. The only difference is in the context window and specialization of each model. Google gives you 1 million token context window at a $20 price point. Claude gives you around 200,000 token for the same price point, but it will give you a higher context at a higher price point. And effectively, ChatGPT at that price point will give you somewhere around 128K tokens only. And it will increase it for the higher price point. If you regularly work with large documents like legal contracts, research documents, papers, a lot of emails, then context size really matters. And Gemini would be your preferred choice in that case. When it comes to coding, all three have almost equivalent SWE benchmarks, so they perform technically at the same level for code generation. ChatGPT has Codex built in, Claude CLI works inside an IDE. Then Claude also has got a Claude Code, which also works with the Claude Desktop Edition and the Web Edition. Then Google has got Anti Gravity and also Google AI Studio, both great products for coding. And most of the time it depends upon the ecosystem, the connectors, the MCPs that you need. And the developer community prefers Claude Code for that because it is moving very fast, has got better reasoning and more quality control and context preservation across the code. Claude Code has got the strongest reputation for solving hardest coding complex problems. Multiple independent reviews has confirmed this. Now let us talk about agentic capability. This is where 2026 landscapes diverges from where we were 1 year ago. Claude has the most mature agentic platform as of now. It has got a Claude desktop which has got features like dispatch in which you can really command everything from your phone, and your computer can be operated from your phone if Claude Desktop is open on your computer. It can actually connect your tools via MCPs, control your desktop while you are away, and you can just command the entire thing using a chat window on your phone. Codex can also do that, but it is just a remote control rather than an independent worker which is performing actions on your screen, unlike Claude does. It doesn't have as complex agentic capability as both Claude, Cowork, and Codex have. It has got things like Jules, Project Mariner, which is only available in US, and Anti-Gravity, which is basically also an agentic-based coding workflow IDE platform, but it doesn't have anything which can be remotely controlled via phone as of now. When it comes to connections and integration, Claude would top the list because it can literally connect to any of the tools that you're using, from your email, Drive, Notion, GitHub, and many other integrations are already there in Claude connectors. Even Codex has got a good integration, but not as deep as Claude has got. Gemini connects well with the Google ecosystem, like Google Drive, Slides, Sheet, and even Gmail and Calendar. Now, when it comes to creative and media, Claude has got no native image generation or video generation tool. I mean, full stop. If you require an image generation or a video generation, Claude is not going to be the tool for you. Google AI Pro gives you Nano Banana. This is arguably the best consumer image generation model available right now. It generates, edits, and understands real world context through something known as search grounding, which we have already spoken about before in the video. You also get an access to VO 3.1, which is the Google's video generation tool. It can even generate cinematic content, and you will see a lot of examples on VO on YouTube, and many people are generating even the movie level cinematics with VO. So, if visual content is your main requirement, I would suggest you go for Gemini rather than any other tool. Now, when it comes to the bundled value, I really like the proposition Google has. I believe it's a knockout punch at the $20 price point because you get a 2 TB cloud storage, you get Nano Banana Pro, You get anti-gravity, you get Gemini 3.1 Pro, which is really value for money for all the tasks related to reasoning, coding, analysis, deep research, and more. And also image generation and video generation, which is, I think, state of art as compared to all three. So for somebody who is embedded in Google ecosystem, this value would be really hard to beat. Here is the framework I want you to walk away with. Instead of asking which AI is best, ask which AI is better fit meant for me. Let us go for the first use case, which is basically solo stack, and you only have to pick one. So if you're a Google native person where you live in Gmail, Google Slides, Sheets, and Drive all the time, you definitely would require a higher cloud storage right away. And for most of the heavy users, 200 GB won't cut it. And if you really value research tools and learning and you do a lot of research, but you're not like a coder which codes every day, I would suggest you go for Gemini AI Pro. The 2 TB storage plus access to Notebook LM makes it worth the price. Now, if you're a builder, like a software developer who writes code on an everyday basis, commits on GitHub, and also do a lot of brownfield and greenfield project level coding, you really need to work with a tool that can work across a very massive code base, understands it, reasons it, and impactfully delivers it as a software engineer or a pair program. You would also require the tool to do a lot of agentic workflow, connect with MCP, and do a lot of refactoring. If you belong to this category, you should pick up Claude Code. And on top of that, if you are a professional software developer who is probably relying more than 60 to 70% on AI only for coding, and you are shipping large code bases dealing with larger software, and you really want to have the highest value for money, you'd have to go for a Pro Max or Max, which is $100 or a $200 plan, depending upon usage, because the $20 plan might hit your rate limits very fast. And now the third category, if you are a smart journalist, somebody like a content creator, entrepreneur, or a product manager or a project manager, you would need a lot of tasks like writing, reading, analysis, even creating a bit of a code base, and even do a little bit of image and video generation. I think the ChatGPT Plus at $20 would be the right choice for you. It gives you access to GPT 5.4, which arguably does everything reasonably well. Also, you get a creative toolkit, like you can generate occasional videos and images for your use case as well. And the custom GPT ecosystem is one of the largest growing ecosystem, and you also get agentic capability along with it. Now, if you're a student and you are budget focused and you actually have learning as an end goal in the mind, you want tools that gives you more focus, gives you more intelligent answer, and also tools that gives you more research capabilities. And as you would have seen in our benchmark section, Gemini actually performs higher on standards like GPQA Diamond, which really matters for a student. On top of that, you get a 2 TB access for cloud, which helps you save your work across multiple platforms like email, photos, videos, Drive, and arguably Gemini AI Pro would be the best bet for you. You can even go to Gemini AI Plus, which is a cheaper model than Gemini AI Pro if your requirement is not that high. On top of that, you will also get access to tools like anti-gravity, Stitch with Google, which also helps you do a little bit of coding and UI UX generation. Now let us talk about ProStack, in which you are willing to pick up two tools. So if you're a developer who lives in Google Workspace, I recommend to pick up both Claude and Gemini together at a $40 price point. Claude can handle your documentation, coding, analysis, and other tasks, while Gemini AI Pro can also provide you a storage as well as occasional image generation, higher reasoning capability, and research related tasks. Also, access to Notebook LM, which is a really great tool for research. Now, if you're a content creator who also codes and wants to do a lot of integration across your tools, I would recommend to go for a ChatGPT $20 plan along with a Claude Pro subscription. While ChatGPT can even handle lightweight image generation, video generation, and drafting emails for your client, Claude can handle high precision work like pointed strategy documentations, coding, long documents, contract reviews, and more. And lastly, if you're a marketing professional and a business analyst, I would recommend you to go for the $20 plan for both ChatGPT and Gemini. So a $40 total will give you unprecedented access to image generation, video generation, custom GPTs for repetitive workflow, data analysis, Google's workplace access at a higher cloud storage, and deeper research capabilities. And lastly, if you are an agency and you can go for all three stacks, you get power of all three. You can make Claude as your primary work engine, All the coding related tasks, complex reasoning, technical writing, everything done by Claude. You can even use Cowork and Dispatch together when you are working from your phone using a Claude. ChatGPT becomes your creative engine in this case. Gemini, Google becomes your research and operation mastermind. The Notebook LM can do client research and it can also turn your documents into presentations. You also get access to Nano Banana and Veo for image and video generation, for even client presentations and social media work. So not only ChatGPT, but Gemini also adds a lot of creative advantage. Although limits on ChatGPT will be higher than Gemini for images and videos if you are an agency. And then the deep research can also be used for competitive intelligence and market research studies. If you can just remember one thing from this video, do not ask which LLM is the best. Ask which LLM is best for my use case. And if you're starting out, just pick one. Like for example, Google AI Pro if you're a student, Claude Pro if you build things and you build softwares, ChatGPT Plus if you need a lot of breadth of work. And if you are serious, you can pick two. I mean, two LLMs would probably cover 90% of the use case for most of the professionals. And if you're someone who is actually running a one-person company or a one-person unit, then probably pick all three and at $60 get the best out of all the three LLMs. Things move very fast in AI, so this video might be relevant from the basic understanding point of view, I would say for years from now, because I have covered some technical benchmarks, the understanding of which is very important for you before you pick up an LLM. However, the features, updates, and pricing might vary over a period of time, and I hope that we get more higher rate limits, a better image generation capability, better code generation capability, higher scores on these benchmark as the time progresses, and we get the highest value of money for all these three LLMs. With that, I would like to end this video. Thank you for watching. This is Anand Arora, and you are watching Decode by Anand.